let's take a look and talk about what cards are leaving with the new standard year that we don't actually have a confirmed name for from the Boomsday project and Rastakhan's Rumble. Last week we talked about Witchwood, and today we're going to combine Boomsday project and Rastakhan's Rumble. And it looks like just in time. If there's a big announcement next week, I can only assume it might be expansion related. I literally am only assuming. I don't actually know. But yeah, so let's take a look. There's some really heavy hitters that will be leaving from both Boomsday and Rastakhan's Rumble. More from Boomsday, but still some notable cards. And I figured we would start in Boomsday, so let's talk about Galvanizer. Galvanizer's going away. This is one of the major engines that makes mechs go. You playing Paladin right now? You're probably very good friends with Galvanizer. Have you been playing Hunter for like the last 2 years? Well, that's less specific because they have so many options. But are you Brian Brushwood? You're probably good friends with Galvanizer.
Plus, he also enabled one of like my favorite things ever, which was like the OTK Warlock Mechathune deck, which I just love that crazy deck and this little guy. Oh man, he's so cute and he just made such fun things happen. So I'm gonna miss him. Galvanizer's a really cool card.
Yeah, I won't miss him as much because I always have terrible luck with mech decks because they're entirely luck based, and if you don't draw right, they're a terrible deck, and I'm an unlucky individual. But
that's why honestly you should have played the Mechathune Warlock deck, because you literally just draw your entire thing as fast as possible. Like you can't draw it wrong because you draw the whole thing.
I've never
in before Garrett Burns cards.
I've never been one of into like those like play your whole deck decks for some reason. It's never been an archetype or a fantasy that I like pursuing in Hearthstone. But that's me. That's me. I'm basic. I like mid range decks. So. You know.
Yeah, I think for some reason, just that combo deck really, I had a lot of fun playing it. I'm generally in your camp too, Garrett. Like I like tempo-y mid-rangey stuff, but yeah, for some reason I found a lot of fun. Probably because the Mechathune animation's just so good.
It is very solid. But you know what else is solid and going to wild at some point is Crystology.
Thank everything.
Oh, come on. It's been a while since this has been particularly painful. Ever since Gen and Baku went away.
It's just been so, well, not even since Gen and Baku went away. It's been such a staple. And I don't know. I just don't like it. I'm glad it's gone.
To me, Crystology is synonymous with Odd Paladin.
Well, yeah, definitely.
It's just, it was like.
It's just always been around. It's just always been annoying because it's like, the 2 1-attack minions, like drawing 2 for 1. You can do it early in an aggro game. Like aggro's not supposed to be able to draw.
Well, it can, and it draws you 2 1-attack, which is fitting because 2 1s side by side look like 2 middle fingers, which is exactly what that deck is giving you when it pulls 2 1-attack minions. I've loved this. I love this card. I love draw. I get weirdly excited about just freaking draw, especially targeted draw. It's like my favorite thing. I just like I like being efficient in card games. And so Crystology is like right there. I will miss it. I will miss it. And while we're on the Paladin train from Boomsday, we also have to talk about Glowtron, which could have been drawn by Crystology. And Glowtron will also be heading over to Wild when Boomsday rotates out. Obviously, if you're playing ladder right now, you're seeing Glowtrons.
Mech Paladin is really powerful, so
yep.
I think this is fine. I think the deck will still be around afterwards, although like I feel like I should just have like the caveat of like we don't know what the next expansion is. I'm assuming that, you know, Paladin's still going to be doing mechs. Maybe not, but they could.
Even based on what I do know, I'm like just thinking about like I don't know if there's enough mechs sticking around in the existing sets. I don't know. I haven't put too much thought into that. This is like based on nothing other than my gut reaction, but
it's like literally because I have the new mech from Galakron's Awakening stuck in my head, so I'm like, they just got a new mech. It's got to stick around, right?
Yeah, you're right, but
But yeah, there's a lot of mechs tied up in Boomsday for sure across everything. So
yeah,
maybe there is too much rotating out.
Let's move to Mage, because this is another one. This is like top tier, like A tier celebrity. Like you go on a tour of the Hearthstone Beverly Hills, they're stopping at this house and you're getting pictures. Luna's Pocket Galaxy.
This was like the drama. This brought the drama for its entire existence in standard Hearthstone. Man, oh man, it was up, it was down, it was back up again. It was all over the map, and it made players rage. It made Mage players super happy. Man, Pocket Galaxy was such an interestingly designed card, and I was so sad at first when it didn't see play, but then, once they buffed it in our first ever Hearthstone buffs, and then people were playing around with it enough to realize how amazing and broken it was at 5, and that, it probably was still playable at 7, and some people kept it in their Highlander decks and stuff, and man, Luna's Pocket Galaxy, great story.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. They buffed it. Everyone played it. They put it back to the way it was. People kept playing it.
Yeah.
Obviously not to the degree that was being played before when it was at 5 mana, but it doesn't matter. This card will live in infamy. I traditionally don't like cards like this. I don't like cards that like drastically swing the game if you find it. This is very Keleseth-esque, which is something I always come back around to. And apparently Hearthstone is coming back around to, because there's quite a few Keleseth-esque cards in the game right now. And were recently added in Descent of Dragons. So they're going to be here for a while. But for now, we will be saying goodbye to Luna's Pocket Galaxy. But that's all right. You can go visit the galaxy in Wild. Or not visit and just live there if Wild is your preferred mode.
Very true.
We're going to stick with Mage for a minute, though, because Stargazer Luna is also going away. It's not just her Pocket Galaxy. Is also Luna herself, which, the whole after you play the rightmost card in your hand, draw a card mechanic, like, whoop, buddy. That was some value. It made me go play Mage, a class that I don't usually, there's like, honestly, yeah, between this and like the Ragnaros Mage, like they got me in. They got me into Mage a few times. And I really liked it. Like, I mean, Luna is just, again, if I like drawing cards, if I like Christology, Jocelyn, I have to like Stargazer Luna.
I do find it really interesting, too, that of all of the cards that we chose to highlight from Boomsday Project, that Mage with the Pocket Galaxy and Stargazer is the only one where we had like the legendary spell alongside with the legendary actually being like, these were super impactful and amazing.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about Zerek's cloning gallery for Priest next, but we're not talking about Zerek.
Exactly.
Just the cloning gallery.
Which I do really like Cloning Gallery because it kind of gave Priest a really cool, interesting deck that ended up actually winning DreamHack Atlanta, I think, and kind of caught a lot of people off guard. And it was like after that event happened, then a lot of people started playing it on ladder and kind of realizing how good it was. But before that, this just wasn't really a thing that Priest was doing. And I mean, it kind of really started the whole res thing, which I know people are starting to get really sick of now, but I think it had a really good go. And it was an interesting way to play Priest when Priest, had just such a long stretch of really just terrible expansions. I think Cloning Gallery was a really cool design, really fun, really interesting. Again, very high costed card. So a lot of people didn't really give it a shot out the get-go. But then once somebody kind of like quietly realized how awesome this could be, then, they kind of swept with it and then everybody got on board. So I'm going to miss Cloning Gallery. I think it's another card that was pretty iconic coming out of Boomsday.
I will not miss this one. But yeah, it's very powerful.
But it's another one with such a good story.
Yeah, I agree. It has a very good story. I'm a little done, as is well documented with all these res enabling things.
Yeah, chat room is 100% agreeing with you right now. They're not looking back with nostalgia glasses like I am at all.
I'm calling it now though. We will miss this card.
Yeah.
There will come a point in a year's time. We're going to be like, oh, man, that was cool, wasn't it? That was powerful. Wow. What a card. Um, but staying on that train, mass hysteria as we move into Rastakhan's Rumble is also going away. And, honestly, it's fine. Like, Priest has always controlled the board very well. Mass hysteria had a lot to live up to, frankly, in the pantheon of Priest control tools. And I think it did so, to be frank, with style. Rastakhan's Rumble is not an expansion that I look upon particularly fondly. Mm-hmm. And yet this one really sticks out to me. And it's like a piece of removal, and something that I think would be really easy to fall in the background and not think about very often because it feels very Brawl-esque. Like we've seen removal tools like this before, but Mass Hysteria, I think, really kind of stands on its own, like on its own merit, and obviously was more than good enough to get included in Priest for basically its entire existence in the game of Hearthstone.
Yeah, which again, for a Rastakhan's Rumble card is really saying something, because I feel like that's like the least impactful expansion in the last few years of Heart, since maybe, Grand Tournament. Yeah.
Yeah. Adventures notwithstanding.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I am with you, but this is a huge one from Rastakhan's Rumble.
And I can't remember now when I should probably know them by now, but the design philosophies behind the classes, did they say they want Priest to be able to do these big mass removal things?
I do not remember. You're talking about the class
I can't
identity?
Remember. Yeah, the identity thing, yeah.
Well, I did happen to find it very quickly. Strengths, healing narrow but powerful spells, copying, a single minion buffs, death rattle, limitations, card draw, weaknesses, face damage spells, multi-minion buffs. Doesn't mention control in here. As a strength or a weakness or a limitation.
It did say single target removal, right? Basically. So I would say
single minion buffs.
Oh, single minion buffs. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Notice it doesn't say resurrect.
So we can only hope that this is the end of all the res effects.
Would like to point that out. I mean, when did this came out? Oh, I guess it wasn't that long ago. Summer of 2019 is when the class identity blog post went up.
Yeah, and chat, I know that there are plenty of Priest removal spells. That wasn't what I was talking about. I was talking specifically about Hearthstone's view of the class and what they wanted the identity to be. And so I couldn't remember if big removal was one of the things that they said they wanted Priest to have. Yeah.
And then Spirit of the Frog. I wanted to bring this one up because it's been in, it's been out, it's been in, it's been out. But Spirit of the Frog has seen quite a bit of play, and was a card that I just found fun in Shaman. I really liked this card. This is the whole, if you don't remember, it was the spirit that whenever you cast a spell, draw a spell from your deck that costs one more. Again, if you're noticing a pattern with me, I like targeted draw.
Yes, very much.
But this also, it's just a lot of fun. Like, you have to cast something and then something else gets into my hand, and maybe I can cast, maybe I can't. Depends on how much mana I spent. It's a spirit, so it had stealth for one turn, so you tended to be able to get at least 2 draws out of this across 2 turns, which was really rad. And a couple other spirits saw a little bit of a spotlight, but to me, Spirit of the Frog is the one that saw the most of it. With like a sub genre of card that felt like it didn't quite hit the mark, but Spirit of the Frog, I think, did. So I'm going to miss this one.
Yeah, me too. Not as much, though, as the next card. I mean, the next card, honestly, is probably my favorite card that has come out in Hearthstone ever. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, okay. So Jocelyn, I know you've had a very tumultuous relationship with the next card from Rastakhan's Rumble. Are you ready to do what needs to be done?
Oh, I am ready. I am ready to introduce this card before its final moments in Standard. Everyone, please welcome the Undertaker!
You said it right! Oh my God.
You're welcome.
I thought I would go to my grave without ever hearing that. Wow.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
You mean the Undertaker, right?
The Undertaker, yes.
The Undertaker, the card that they had to nerf because Hunter was too good?
Yep.
Everyone's favorite wrestler.
Everyone's favorite wrestler, obviously.
Yeah, the Undertaker is gonna go to Wild, and frankly, hasn't really seen a lot of play in a while. But there was a reign. There was a point where we thought we were going to be living in death rattle hell for the rest of eternity, and that the Undertaker was going to be our jailer.
Yeah, it was I mean, it had its shining moment, right?
I think
but it went away pretty quickly. Considering it's a neutral card, I was kind of surprised that it never really showed up past that was it Hadronox Druid? Yeah.
I think this is one of my like all-time favorite Hearthstone cards. This is up there. I don't have a list. But Undertaker is up there just because just stacking death rattles is so cool. It is so. This is like sleeper Shutterwalk levels of cool, man. Like Shutterwalks is just like pew pew pew, all your battle cries, and Undertaker does that, but with death rattles. It was not as good. Didn't see nearly as much play. Didn't have nearly as big of an impact. But
all the death rattles, right? So I feel like that's probably why. Although if it was just gain the death rattle effects of everything that had died this game, that probably would have been ridiculously OP. Like I'm sure that the effects of 3 minions is something that they play tested the crap out of to arrive at. So I get it, but I think maybe they could have made, I don't know, 4, 5, maybe a little more. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. I have a feeling they had to have tested that, right? I'm certain internally they were like, what do you think? Let's put it to 7. Oh, dear God, what have we done? Okay. Let's try 11. No, you fool. But yeah, this is a card I will miss, even though I already kind of miss it because it hasn't been seeing very much play. But
yeah,
super rad card. Gonna miss it. Now, Jocelyn, there are 2 more cards I would be remiss if we didn't mention, and I think these are the heavy hitters because they are neutrals and they're played in a lot of decks. And it's Zilliax and SnipSnap will be going to Wild. Now, SnipSnap was added in the buff event, but is technically Boomsday.
Mm-hmm.
So SnipSnap will be going away, even though we haven't. Poor SnipSnap. The brightest stars burn out the quickest. I don't believe that's scientifically accurate, but
I'm glad that SnipSnap is heading to Wild and not sticking around just for the sake of sticking around. It belongs with the mechs. It was introduced in a mech event. Like that all makes perfect sense to me. And Zilliax, oh my God, get out. I am done. I am over it. You have been around for too long. Everyone plays you. I've had it. Get out.
I don't mind Zilliax.
I hate Zilliax.
Surprised by how not relieved I feel thinking about Zilliax going to Wild. I'm fine with it. I think it's okay. Like Zilliax has clearly had its time. However, this is one of those cards that I think down the road I would very much like to see a reprint or a reintroduction of, because it's just such a strong tool for decks to have.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, here's my thing. Like, I know obviously Zilliax is a very good card, and I'm just sick of him because he's been played in so many different decks literally since he was introduced. Like, he's just been prolific and everywhere, and I'm just done. I'm just bored. I want something new. And I think that like there's plenty of ways to do this, like healing, taunting, whatever, like this kind of recovery.
Divine Shield, Taunt, Lifesteal Rush, and Magnetic.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, what I'm trying to get at is that there are many ways to do this kind of recovery phase if you're a control deck and you're getting run over by aggro. Like turn 5 is about the time. It's like think like Sludge Belcher and Healbot. Like those are all things that fit this exact same sort of like role.
Lotheb.
And Lotheb, sure, yeah, Lotheb as well. Like, and I just am ready to move on to whatever the next thing is, because I feel like I've seen Zilliax in every single game of Hearthstone that I have played since Boomsday came out. And so I'm just, I am ready to move into whatever the next phase of this style of card is, because I'm just sick and tired of Zilliax.
I think all of that is fair. I can't really explain it. Like, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not I guess I'm not sick of it. I think there's a reason Zilliax is it certainly looks like is going to make it to wild untouched, like unnerfed, unmodified.
Oh yeah, like I don't think it needs to be nerfed. I don't think it's OP or anything. It's just such a good card that it has been everywhere to the point that I'm just like, okay, here comes Zilliax, and sure enough, there's Zilliax like all of the time. He just gets slotted into every single deck unless you're running something very aggressive. So that's like tempo decks, control decks, combo decks, like everybody was playing Zilliax to the point that you just like, unless you came up against super crazy aggro, you were going to see your opponent play Zilliax. And that to me is just boring. Like, I'm just over it. I'm done. I just want to move on. and they can make something that does a very similar thing, like gives you a bit of heal, gives you like a way to impact the board and whatever. Like there's ways to do what Zilliax does. I'm just ready for it not to be a magnetic divine shield taunting, life-stealing, rushing mech.
I just want to celebrate. I'm just trying to celebrate it instead, because I really do think this is just one of the most like perfectly designed cards they've ever made, because it didn't break the game. It was like I think that this is the sweet spot, and it's been around long enough that it's time for it to go to wild. But this really hit the nail on the head in terms of card design, because it's, I don't know. Something about this card that I am supremely comfortable with. And I think that's cool. And I just wanted to give it a little bit of a shout out, because I'm gonna miss you, Zilliax. SnipSnap, I'll miss you too, but I'm a little sick of microbots. I get enough of them in my Battlegrounds.
Yep.
Yep. Hey, SnipSnap, maybe I'll see you in Battlegrounds sometime. This card would be busted in Battlegrounds. Echo would be insane in Battlegrounds. Maybe we'll see
I don't think it's going to happen.
And it won't have Echo.
SnipSnap. Get out. You too, Garrett. You take Zilliax and you get out.
SnipSnap? Is that better?
No. None of
Snip
this
Unicorn?
is better.
The Iron Unicorn is a number one? Does that make it better?
No.
Friggin' drill as a unicorn horn? All right. Anyways,
you're getting there. Keep going.
Okay.
I'm coming around.
And it's projecting a rainbow out of its butt.
SnipSnap. Okay, chat room. You go with Garrett and Zilliax, and you all get out.
All right. Well, I'm taking our audience and leaving. Well, there you have it. There's our retrospective on cards from. Wow, oh, crap. What was that year? What was
Raven.
Year of the Raven. Okay. From Year of the Raven. That's our retrospective on Year of the Raven cards. Notable Year of the Raven cards that are going to wild. Hope you enjoyed it.